The Detroit Lions are apparently ready to put a pounding on the 49ers and get some payback, and it comes at a bad time as the 49ers have been shutting guys down. Either way, I've got a double dose of good news for 49ers faithful that I think will have you feeling cheery this Boxing Day, day after Christmas thing. If you're new here, I'm Nate, and if you're looking for daily 49ers content, please hit that subscribe button as we are laser focused already on 2025. But that Renardo Green pick, folks, has just gotten better and better with age. 64th overall in the draft, late in the second round. I first saw this stat right here from Coach Yak on Twitter, so he's a good follow, by the way, if you're looking for someone to follow on Twitter and you don't already. I'm sure you do. But Renardo Green has the third highest cornerback coverage grade, 76.5, from his draft class, and is 12th among all cornerbacks in the NFL. And in fact, I want to say his very first game, as well as the game against the Green Bay Packers, were both really low coverage grades. So I actually think he's rated a little bit higher than this, but you can't really throw out those stats. It's not totally fair to do that. So we'll call that even Stevens, and we'll say this is still something that's worth celebrating, considering you got him as a second rounder, which is great for a cornerback level, and he has produced as you dreamed he would, for the most part, I think, at least. Another great tweet from Coach Yak on it. Renardo Green against Tyreek Hill last week, 8 coverage snaps, 2 targets, 0 catches allowed, 1 forced incompletion. That's Renardo Green. And, you know, I did some digging on Renardo Green, as I often do. Renardo Green got lit up, against Green Bay, but otherwise was incredible for a rookie second rounder. As the season developed, Renardo Green has improved his consistency across all PFF metrics with significant snap counts since week 6 in Seattle on a short week. Ever since that game, he's been in the lineup. He has been consistent, and he's gotten better. He's had some games where, this particular aspect of his game has not been as good. And, for cornerbacks, it can be kind of tricky, especially when you're coming in like Renardo Green is and kind of situational scheme-related movements a lot of times. In some of those games, he was able to just be the starters flat out. In other games, he was coming in as a third. So all of that being said, I want to give some massive credit to the 49ers organization, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, and company for figuring out this last year's draft. Because when you look at the draft, guys, this is crazy, okay? Ricky Pearsall, I'm going to say to be determined. I think this year, we'll call it a wash. I would say that we saw some good things from Ricky Pearsall. We saw some bad things from Ricky Pearsall. And I don't know how much we can really grade Ricky off of this first season. As you know, I'm sure you've heard the old phrase, something to do with the fact that you never grade draft class players in their first year. You always give them a couple years to really be confident in how good of a draft grade it is. Right now, this draft looks pretty good. Renardo Green, I'd say a win, a lock, great decision there. Dominic Pooney, a win, a great decision there. Malik Mustafa, a win. These are all great draft picks, okay? Isaac Guerrero, good. I'm going to say good draft pick. I'd say we need to see him be healthy for a long stretch of time before we can be really confident in how good he is. But what we have seen from him as a rookie, I'd say we're on the right track. I'm happy with the decision right now. Jacob Cowing, similar kind of deal from a special teams perspective. I think he's been pretty good. So I'd grade him as like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 as a draft position for special teams purposes. I would love to see, however, Jacob Cowing out there running routes. I don't know what's going on in practices, what's keeping him from getting more reps out there, running routes, catching balls, because I would love to see him develop some rapport with Brock Purdy. I think that would be good going forward, and I really do think he adds something. We saw it in preseason and a little bit in the regular season, but I think he has something that it would be good for the 49ers to really see what they have there. Because he's basically, when you think about draft placement, you think about how everything's said and done, he's basically your Ronnie Bell right now, and he's not even getting Ronnie Bell reps right now. So I would love to see Jacob Cowing get out there, get some more reps in these last couple of games, and see what can happen for the young guy, because I really do think there's something special with his speed, how difficult he can be to tackle. Jarrett Kingston. I'm still up on this move. I still think it was a good decision, but we still have a lot to wait for and see there. Tatum Bethune, I'm also up on. I think this has been he's been good so far, and I'd like to see him more. It's good that we're starting to see a little bit more of him, and I'm really optimistic about who Tatum Bethune can be long term. So overall in the 2024 draft class, I think the original draft grade was, well, I was seeing C pluses and a couple B minuses, and I would say this is an A, maybe an A minus because of your first round decision and how that played out. You know, had you picked up a different guy like a Ladd McConkey or something like that, maybe you would say 100% flat A, this is a great draft. I'd say considering the hit rate on players, considering the likelihood of guys just not turning out to be who you hope they'd be, considering the reality that the 49ers have had an awful season, and these guys have played real roles on this football team, I would say that this is an A. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Overall, the first piece of good news, because I got a double dose for you today, the first piece of good news, I would say, is Renardo Green. My goodness, he has continued to show out outside of that Green Bay game. Is I think the real one where he got a lot of snaps and had really bad PFF grades, just did not have a great day altogether. The Green Bay Packers just carved us up. I would say, other than that game, Renardo Green has been really, really good for a rookie. Absolutely. Okay? I'm not going to say he's your lockdown corner. Not going to say he's your Charvarius Ward replacement. We don't even need to make those kinds of decisions because I think you'd always like to have at least one solid veteran on your quarterback duo. But whatever the case, I think this is a good move. I want to just say that that's a win, and I'm feeling positive about that one. Then the second piece of good news that I can't wait to tell you about is right here. I came across this great, and I've said something similar here, but I want to give Nick Sam Miguel from Niner Noise some credit for this one. He wrote an article called "An Early Offseason is Actually the Best Christmas Gift 49ers Could Have." I think it was 2 days ago now that he wrote that article, and I just thought it was really good, and it got me thinking. The article itself, I'm not even quoting the article. I just want to give him credit because it was his idea that I'm kind of riffing on here. But as I'm thinking about, I've thought several times about some of these players like Christian McCaffrey, who really could just do for more time off. Just give him more time off. You know, the fact that he got that injury against the Buffalo Bills was a real bummer as he was just starting to shine. However, I think this is really good in the end for guys like Dre Greenlaw, guys like Christian McCaffrey, guys like Trent Williams. You're not forcing to trying to get him out there on the field because the playoffs are on the line. So I think this is a good situation. Even like Nick Bosa, for example, if something needs to happen there, if there needs to be some surgery or anything like that, just get it done. Just get it taken care of. Forget about it. Just get him taken care of. I don't care if we get beat by 40 points on Monday night if it means that our players come back healthy for the 2025 season, because this season is done and dusted. That being said, I just threw a few things out there that I was thinking about related to Nick San Miguel's article, the things that have played into this season's really tough one. And I forgot to put the rest differential on there, so I'm going to throw that one out there first, even though I don't even really know the right order here. The rest differential, minus 22 days of rest versus opponents, compared to opponents. The worst rest differential in several years, the worst rest differential this season for any NFL team, and I would say that this is a huge factor in how the 49ers are going to look different next year. Just in the fact that we'll have easier opponents and probably a fourth place schedule, if we're totally honest. And on top of that, there's just odds are you're going to have a better rest differential. Obviously, that's outside of our control, but odds are it's going to be significantly better than what it was this last season or this season. Add to that the Super Bowl hangover, the emotional hangover from that loss. You know, some guys were talking about it beforehand. I forget who was the first person to really say it big, like RG3 or someone like that. I can't remember who it was, saying that there was a huge issue. Oh, who was it, dude? Someone will let me know in the comments. But I can't remember who it was that first called that out. And I kind of thought, whatever, like, these are professionals. You know what? It was 100% right. There's definitely been an impact on this team from that Super Bowl and from multiple stretches, deep into the playoffs. Personal tragedies have been a factor as well. And you never really want to, I don't want to say anything related to like whether that's fair or not in terms of grading players, right? And we're talking about Trent Williams, we're talking about Ricky Pearsall, we're talking about, of course, Charvarius Ward. And I just want to say, like, That's a real factor, not just for the players, but for the team around them who are trying to support them and be there for them. On top of that, the mountain of injuries the 49ers have faced has been really, really bad. I think worse since 2020 or 2019, something like that. Then you have, I think 2020 was that really bad year. Loads of games because of all the deep postseason runs in the last 5 years. Key men down, guys like Brandon Aiyuk, guys like Christian McCaffrey. Huge stretches without Trent Williams, huge stretch now without Trent Williams, who at times wasn't healthy at the beginning of the season, needed oxygen and stuff, and wasn't really healthy at every game throughout the stretch, didn't look like his same old self. Then you add to that Nick Bosa, who even when between those weeks where he was injured, was not playing his best football either. Just something's going on with the oblique and the hip and all that. It was a mess, okay? So you got key guys down, and then on top of that, you have your team playing poorly all around. Of course, the special teams at the beginning of the season and in the first half of the season, you would just say special teams, special teams, special teams. But the 49ers haven't been great all around all season. There have been games where the offense looked incredible or the defense looked incredible. There have been games where, one side did really, really well, the other side did pretty good, and then the special teams would. So you add the poor play all around, which everyone's going to take credit for. Nobody gets off scot-free for that one. I think you can go individual level. You can say Deommodore Lenoir gets off scot-free on that one. George Kittle gets off scot-free on that one, although he did have some injury stuff going on in the kind of early middle of the season. There are some guys that maybe you could say individually they get a free pass because they've played outstanding football all season long. But overall, as a whole, I would say no one group gets away with anything because the linebacker core has had several games that they were really poor, thanks to Devondre Campbell especially. Just everywhere you look, there have been bad games. There were a couple games in there where the safeties just were trash, just bad. It's not good. So all of that being said, when you put all of that out there and you say, hey, the 49ers are going to get an early offseason, that does two things. One, you get extra rest, of course. That's the most important one. But number two, those players are hungry. They're NFL players. They didn't get to the top and nearly crown themselves victories from like a play here or a play there. Victors of the Lombardi, the 6th Lombardi trophy for the 49ers. Because that did not happen, obviously you have that emotional letdown. But the point being, those players got there, okay? They can get there again. The 49ers can get there again, no doubt. Add on to that poor play all around also extends to the coaches. All of the coaches are responsible for the poor play all around that they've seen that we've seen this season. So I think I'm in agreement with Nick San Miguel here that I think that this early offseason could actually be the best Christmas gift the 49ers could ask for. And when you think about the long term and the growth and where they go from here, I think it's going to be a good move. That's just my take. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, we have a massive game against the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football in 4 days' time. And it's going to be a tough game. It's probably going to be an ugly game. It's probably not a game that we're all going to look back on and remember fondly. But it doesn't. There's no game in here where there aren't guys who are playing for their jobs. There are going to be guys like even Tashawn Gibson, who's trying his best to play great football right now. There are guys out there. Isaac Guerendo, hopefully he's healthy for the game on Monday night. I still haven't seen an injury update. The 49ers page, their main page for injury updates has not been loaded yet because of the Christmas Day and practice canceled and things like that. I'm guessing. I don't really know. So all of that being said, I feel like this is not shaping up to be a great game for the 49ers, but there's still a lot of guys out there who are going to prove their worth. There are guys like Brock Purdy out there who I'm sure he feels confident that he's going to get a big payday, but he still needs to go out there and produce and show why he deserves a big payday and show why he can lead this team in the future. And that might have probably won't, but it could have implications, for how the 49ers organization treats looking for backup quarterbacks this offseason. So there's going to be a lot there. We'll have tons to talk about. Make sure you're subscribed so you're not missing out on all of that. And please do me a favor. Hit me up in the comments and let me know what you think. Of course, as always, I think there's a lot to look forward to at the draft. There's a lot in free agency. I'm hoping that the 49ers are making big moves in free agency, not just in the draft. I don't think the draft alone can fix this team right now, at least from a personnel perspective. I think the 49ers need more than that. So I would love to see some big free agency moves as well. So there's a lot to cover, and I will be here all the way through it every single day. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all of it. I hope you had a fantastic holiday yesterday. And Boxing Day, I guess, as some folks around the world call it. I hope that this is a fantastic day for you as well.